years, there are many, many other stories of trials, of tribulations, and problems. But God has always protected us. And one would say, well, God, He really didn't protect you that well. I mean, your son died. Yes, my son did die. And anyone who's ever lost a child, you never get over that. Never, never. You never get over that. But my son could have just as well died here in the United States. There are evil things happening here and bad things happening here just as well as they happen over there. But I do have to share with you some very positive things that are happening over there. After we started doing these clinics, one after another, so many people accepted Christ that we had to decide what to do with them. I mean, you can't just lead someone to the foot of the cross and just leave them standing there. You have a responsibility. If you ask God for the opportunity to share the gospel and people respond, then you have a responsibility to do something about that. You have to help them find a way to fellowship and to grow. This process of making disciples is not an automatic just like that. It requires fellowship. It requires training. Little did I know, the church, every church is a hospital where people come with spiritual wounds. They need help. And as the growth of the church continues, sometimes the people in the church, the members of the church are the doctors, and sometimes they're the patients. But the church is a hospital. Quite often people will say, well, why do you even need to go to church? That's only for weak people that don't need, they don't need to go to church. I don't need that kind of crutch. That's a crutch to lean on. We need the fellowship, and we need to grow, and we need to help each other. And sometimes you'll need the help, and sometimes you'll give the help. That's just the way it is. As we established the churches that we were working with, we decided that something has to be done to congregate all these people that were accepting Christ. So we began looking for places to buy property. Now, we have no money for property in our budget. We have no money for building buildings in our budget. We just have money in our budget to do these medical clinics. So we began to pray and invite people to come down and help us. And so we started getting groups. Dental groups would come down, and medical groups would come down, and we started doing eye surgeries. We began doing cataract removals and lens implants, like in tents and in public schools. And we started helping lots and lots of people. You have no idea what it feels like to be able to see somebody that's like 68 years old, hasn't seen the light of day in 30 years, to take their cataract out and to put a lens inside of it. And immediately, the very next day when you take the bandage off, they can see more light than they've seen in 30 years. Wow. That's fun. That's really fun. So over the years, we have hundreds of people that got their sight in one of these clinics that we're doing. People that are dying of oral infections were coming to our dental clinics. And we had some of the most skilled doctors in the whole United States coming to visit us and taking out really complicated infected teeth and problems with the bones and jaws, and orthopedic surgeons were coming down. I have a neurosurgeon that even comes down and does operations in a local hospital with a mission. That's a tremendous way to earn the right to share the gospel. Really exciting. So as we started establishing all these churches, there was something that never occurred to me, is once you have all these churches and you buy some property and you build them a building, and teams would come down and do the construction and bring money for building materials. And I mean, I'm a medical guy. I kept saying, Lord, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. I'm not a contractor. I'm not a construction guy. So I bought an iCAD program, put it on my computer, figured out how to draw a building. It's not that complicated. Anybody can do it. Fortunately, when the doctors come down, the dentists come down, they taught me how to pull teeth. It can be, even an idiot can learn how to do that, so I learned. All the things that I didn't think I could handle doing, I was able to learn a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So I'll be the first one to say I'm not good at anything. But I have learned how to do a lot of things, like okay, because it was necessary. Now, after we built the buildings and we got things going, then the Lord said to me in that still small voice, it was nothing audible, no big vision, none of that kind of stuff. He said, Gary, I want you to start a Bible college. I said, that's it. I've done whatever you ask, but if you want somebody to run a Bible college, you know, everyone in the whole world is on your list. Call somebody that's been trained to do that. And so after struggling with God, and God would say things to me like, well, if I wanted somebody that, you know, was trained to do that, I would have got someone that's trained to do that. I want somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, that doesn't have a clue, that won't tell me how to set it up, somebody who's basically moldable and will do whatever they're told, that needs to come and ask questions to me all the time. And the Lord told me, that's why I picked you. I wanted somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. So I basically said, well, I still don't feel like I want to do that. And so I struggled with the Lord. One day, I got sick. I mean, really sick. I came back to town. I was in critical care for 90 days. I had pancreatitis. I had a rotten gallbladder that had backed up my common bile duct, and I was fighting with God about this Bible college thing, and I did not want to do that, and I was on my deathbed. In fact, I was getting Demerol 6 milligrams every 5 minutes on a drip, and I was unconscious in a coma. When a church, some crazy church, sent my wife a check for $56,000. They said, we fasted and prayed, and you're going to be just fine. And she said, well, he's in a coma. I can't even give him the check. What do you mean he's going to be just fine? He's going to die. I mean, the doctor said that. I mean, and for 10 days, every time the doctor would come in, I'm a medical care provider. I'm a professional. I know I can read the lab values just as good as anybody else. They were horrid. Every day, like he'd come in, he'd say, well, Gary, you're going to die today. Here's your lab results this morning. Sorry. And he was a Christian man. He was just a great guy. He was very compassionate, very loving, but, you know, he couldn't lie to me because I knew what the statistics were and what the facts were. So he said, well, I'm sorry. I have to tell you this again today, but you're going to die today. And I didn't. In fact, within 30 days, I got up on my feet. I went back to the Dominican Republic. I walked 100 different farms and finally found the right farm for our Bible college and bought it with $56,000. And that was how I recovered from my death-defying illness that was impossible to recover from. So God got his way, and I decided that I'm going to go ahead and build a Bible college. He was very convincing. Advice for all of you, and note to self, do not draw a line in the sand for God. He doesn't deal with that well. And whatever you do, don't tell him what you won't do. He really doesn't like to hear that, just from personal experience. So in the process of building this Bible college, we bought a large farm. It's got 150 acres in the mountains in the Dominican Republic. Yeah, on our properties, we have over 8,000 coffee trees. We have 15,000 grafted avocado trees. We grow avocados that are like 3 to 5 pounds each. They're awesome. We grow mangoes, huge mangoes, grafted mangoes. Chocolate, we have cocoa trees, chocolate plants, macadamia nuts, cashew trees. This has just been a very interesting experience for me. And I just went to do medical care and really just went for 5 years, but it got more interesting as time went on. Now, they speak Spanish in this country, and so, of course, we had to learn Spanish, which is a little bit challenging, but everyone sure picked it up good, and we really enjoy integrating into the Dominican society. They're really wonderful people, and we have enjoyed being there and learning and growing. Now, as we started to establish our Bible college, we built all these buildings, and of course, in the past 20 years, I'm just a medical guy, but I have designed and built over 40 buildings. Some of them 4 stories tall, huge buildings, and they actually do pretty well, amazingly enough. So we have these teams come down, and they'll help build buildings, and they'll help establish churches, and they'll do VBSs, and they'll bring in to come and do craft fairs with the children, and we now have 22 very healthy congregations that we're working with. As missionaries to the Dominican Republic, it was impossible for us to ignore what happened in Haiti. And being on the same island as they were, having equipment, supplies, medicine needed, there was no option for us other than to take our equipment, supplies, and our resources over to Haiti to help them. Of course, there are missionaries in Haiti, so we coordinated, worked with the missionaries that are already there, and now they're beginning to take over. So we promised all the people that are supporting the work in the Dominican Republic that our work in the Dominican Republic is not going to suffer because of our work in Haiti. We're going to do extra work. So we would be on weekends, we'd be over in Haiti, in between our classes for school. Of course, we'd started the Bible school. We've had graduating classes, and now we have 34 students part-time in our Bible school, which we also do vocational training center, which means we're training them in several different areas. Now, every single village in the world needs the gospel. The question is, how do you get it there in a way that they can receive it?